Yeah, so for the Vietnamese or the yoga practitioner, maybe you introduce a bit about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. My name is David Kim, and I've been practicing yoga for over 15 years, and I've been teaching for about 13 years. I began my practice in Los Angeles, first starting to practice at the studio where I now teach, which is YogaWorks. And I studied with many different teachers. I studied many different systems of yoga, including Ashtanga yoga and Iyengar yoga. And every time I studied with a different teacher from a different tradition, every time I studied with a different teacher from a different tradition, I always learned something valuable. And I applied those valuable lessons to my foundation of teacher training that I received from YogaWorks. And I continue to build and expand upon that foundation. And this is what I'm hoping now to share with the Vietnam yoga community. Both my experience with teaching and practicing in a vinyasa style, and also following and studying the more quiet and meditative practice of yin yoga.
Thanks, David. So, I understand this is your first yin TT in Vietnam.
Yes.
In addition to the other 200 hours TT.
Yes, I've taught 3 YogaWorks 200-hour trainings.
Right. So how do you see the Vietnamese practitioner receive the trainings and in general in yoga in particular?
Oh, well, I find the Vietnamese yogis very passionate and very strong and so eager to learn more and to deepen their education about yoga. And I find that yin yoga is usually challenging. It's challenging in a different way than a vinyasa practice is. It's not as physically challenging for many of the yogis here in Vietnam who are very flexible, but it's challenging because it requires being very patient and very still. And what I find is that many of the younger yogis, newer to the yoga practice, want to push themselves and go farther and move faster. And Yin is asking yogis to slow down, to be a little bit more quiet, to move towards a stillness practice of meditation. And so it's challenging in a different way because we have to learn how to quiet the mind, even as the body becomes very still.
So since you talked a little bit about Yin, so just some basic terms, can you tell the difference between Yin and your, especially what are the colors item in the Yin TT?
That's a great question. So when we say something is yin versus something that's yang, yin practice would require less muscular effort. So gravity would be the primary mover. We also hold the poses for several minutes, so it requires patience and observation, a very internal process, which is a very yin quality, moving inward, deeper, lower to the ground, more like the moon than the sun. And the second part of your question was?
What I call the Yin TT?
What we covered our Yin TT focuses largely on the anatomy and how each of our bodies are different. And not just different in terms of flexible or not flexible, but different in our bone structure, different in the proportions of our bones, difference in the way that our joints are shaped, and this can strongly affect how we're able to move at our joints. So what I hope to cover in particular in the Yin TT is to help everybody understand the uniqueness of their bodies and to respect the uniqueness of their bodies instead of trying to push themselves into postures that may not be safe for them to do, and to focus on their own practice instead of trying to compare their yoga postures to somebody else's yoga postures. This is where the competitive mind can make somebody maybe very anxious or very angry or frustrated. And we have to always remember that the purpose of yoga is to quiet the mind, not create more anxiety or agitation of the mind.
Right. So, kind of like a practical question.
Yes.
At what point of time you think one person can attain meditating? Because I'm not sure, I'm just asking you, because maybe they have to have a certain practice or some foundation knowledge so they can be able to
Yes.
appreciate yoga.
I've had people of many different levels and experience with yoga come into my TT. I think the biggest requirement to join my TT, whether it's a vinyasa or a yin yoga, is a deep sense of curiosity. A sense of curiosity about not only the physical body, but about the deeper questions that yoga raises. And one of the big questions yoga asks is, who are you? Who are you as a person? What is it that you identify with? And when we're in a yin practice, we have the time and the space to really observe the activity of the mind. And as the activity of the mind starts to slow down, then we start to see, well, what's behind all that activity? What happens when I peel away the masks, right? And this is the question that yoga asks. So if you're willing and curious to see what's behind all the activity of the mind, you might find some interesting answers are revealed.
What is your plan for the yoga works TTC and also the yoga wise and TT in Vietnam?
Oh, well, I'm so happy that the yoga community here has embraced both the Yoga Works training and the Yin training because I think they balance each other very nicely. And I love coming to Vietnam. I've visited this country for the first time almost 20 years ago, and I've been here several times since. And I'm so happy to be part of the emerging and diverse yoga community here.
What is the plan for the near future in coming months?
So this is 2017. Towards the end of 2017, we're going to introduce the Yoga Works 300-hour program. And that will be divided into 3 sections of 100 hours each. We'll also be doing workshops in May in Hanoi, and one of my fellow Yoga Works teachers, Jenny Cohen, will be teaching workshops in Saigon in the last weekend of May. And next year, 2018, we're going to bring the Yoga Works teacher training to Hanoi. And we might possibly also bring the Yin TT to Hanoi in December of this year, 2017.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And for instance, there's no schedule for Ho Chi Minh City?
We don't have Ho Chi Minh City on the schedule yet,
Okay.
but we're